Morning. If everyone can take their seats, we're almost ready to get started.
How are you today?
Good, good. Good morning and welcome. I am Jackie Davison, Chair of the Libro Board of Directors, and I would like to call the 9th General Meeting to order. I am so pleased to see everybody here in person, and I welcome each of you. I would also like to welcome those who are joining us remotely and hope that technology is our friend this year. I also want to take a moment to recognize some of the guests who have joined us, both remotely and in the room. And in particular, I'd like to welcome our friends from the Financial Services Regulation Authority, FSRA, to our AGM today. We're about to celebrate a remarkable year for our purpose-driven financial institution. And to begin, I'd like to welcome Chris Mendes to come up to the podium. Chris?
Good morning. I'd like to share with you some thoughts about values. In particular, the values of the nations of the Haudenosaunee. I'll read for you words found on the website of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy. Among the nations of the Haudenosaunee is a core value called the seventh generation. While the Haudenosaunee encompass traditional values like sharing labor and maintaining a duty to their family, clan, and nation, and being thankful to nature and the Creator for their sustenance. Seventh generation value takes into consideration those who are not yet born, but will inherit the world. In their decision-making, chiefs consider how present-day decisions will impact their descendants. Nations are taught to respect the world in which they live as they are borrowing it from future generations. The seventh generation value is especially important in terms of culture. Keeping cultural practices, languages, and ceremonies alive is essential if those to come are to continue to practice the Haudenosaunee culture. I share with you today to recognize and acknowledge how we, as non-Indigenous people, can learn from and share in this ancient teaching. I also acknowledge that we meet today on traditional territories of the Neutral, the Adawandaron, the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabeg, the Lenapequawak, the Algonquin, the Lenni Lenape, and the Ojibwe Chippewa peoples. I recognize the contributions Métis, Inuit, and other Indigenous peoples have made in shaping and strengthening communities across southwestern Ontario, our province, and country as a whole. I am grateful, and I thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years.
Thank you, Chris. I'd like to start today with a few reflections of my own. As many of you know, last week was a difficult week for our Libro team, especially in Arkona. We are grateful that all our staff are physically safe there after the robbery that took place. I know that our colleagues across the credit union are sharing words of support and encouragement, as are many of our owners. Carol Normando, as CEO, will speak more about this later today. I want to express our deep concern and well wishes. We're thinking of you all. You are Libro strong. Could we move to the next piece, please? That's the short pause. Unfortunately, teleprompters don't always telepathically know where you're at, especially when you go off script like I do. So we'd also like to take a few minutes to acknowledge and celebrate two very special people who retired after lengthy service at careers at Libro. And Tanya is here today, and she's sitting in the back if anybody wants to meet with her afterwards. We have been so lucky as a credit union and as individuals to know these two remarkable people. For Tanya, we've heard so many tributes to her recently, and all of them well deserved. She is a compassionate, empathetic leader, and we've been privileged to work with her as the credit union's key leader on strategy and innovation, brand, people and culture, and so much more. She dedicated her career to helping people around her succeed, and we are glad she did it at Libro. Tanya's already enjoying her retirement, and we're so glad that she's joining us today. Her time is now devoted to family, especially to, well, it says extremely gorgeous grandsons, but that might be a little bit of a bias. And we wish her all the happiness in the world. Thank you, Tanya. And Steve. When we talk about leadership, especially strong leadership and built-in humility, that's Steve Bolton, a towering figure, because he's so tall, in the history of the credit union. Steve retired after 11 years of CEO, and it's impossible to understate his impact on the credit union, and by extension, his impact on Southwestern Ontario. It would be hard to calculate the thousands of people that are better off because of Steve's leadership, his authenticity, his approachability, his sincere engagement with everyone he meets. Steve sent us an email today giving regrets, and I'm just going to read it because it really shows his focus. Please express my regrets to the Board of Directors and open representatives. Libro has such potential, and I know is in good hands. Good hands because both our culture and our structures, the owner representatives being a big part of both. A structure that creates a higher level of accountability and transparency I see everywhere in both cooperatives and credit unions. When I retired, I said it was time for me to give back to family and friends who have supported me on my career. Right now, I need to give back and care for my spouse, Betty, who has allowed me over the years to chase my dreams. Last week, Betty fell, broke, and displaced her hip, and has had a full hip replacement on Friday. I will watch online and cheer Libro as you push into the future. I look forward to seeing you all at the Fall Forum. Steve is now a grandparent, spending time with his beautiful granddaughter and the rest of his family. And I do appreciate the fact that Steve is joining us from home today. Like Tanya, he remains involved in a number of local organizations because people like them are unstoppable. Again, we wish Steve well in the next chapter of his life, and we send our thanks for both of our retiring executives. Thank you. When we come together, we often think about the people who very sadly can't be with us here. Please join me in a moment of silence to reflect on those of our Libro family who we miss deeply. Thank you. Before we get into the meeting, I'd like to review a few procedures with you. First of all, everyone in this room, owner representatives, staff, and owners and guests should have signed in the registration desk. If not, please go back to the registration desk in the lobby and do so now. Owner representatives here in person or joining remotely should have also logged on to the Lumi voting software. The support email address is on the screen, and we have some technical support out in the lobby. Or you can ask a friend sitting next to you if they're a techie kind of person. When you first log in, you will see a task question to answer. We'll close that poll soon. While we do have time for questions set aside at the end of our agenda, there are also opportunities to ask questions throughout various reports. So I would encourage you to raise your questions as they arise. Everyone here may speak to the meeting, but only Libro owner representatives vested with the rights of the owners may move or second a motion or vote on resolutions. Anyone wishing to speak to the meeting can use the stationary mics placed in the aisles. Once you've been recognized, you need to give us your name and then proceed with the remarks. Directors and managers will responding to questions will repeat and clarify them before proceeding with the answer. Which brings us to our friends online. The messaging pane is located to the left side of your screen. This is where you can type your question and comment and send it using the paper airplane icon. Hopefully that's not legitimate. We also need your first and last name so we can use your question or comment. Should there be a significant building emergency during the meeting, please exit out of the back of the room into the foyer, and once there, you'll be directed out of the building. We do not have a formal break scheduled for the meeting, so I welcome you to get up as needed. Yes, there are cookies and drinks at the back of the room, and you're welcome to get up throughout the morning. Finally, we are recording this meeting to share it with those who cannot attend. Thank you for that. It's important that we set a stage for our first combination in-person and virtual annual meeting. It's hard to believe that after 3 years, we're back in this room with cookies. So what I'd like to do is recognize those serving with me on the board of directors. You will see their faces on page 155 and 156 of the AGM workbook. They are Mary Catherine Cush, Vice Chair of the Board, Brian Aiken, Alan de Villiers, Jeff McCallum, Chris Mendez, Jody Simpson, Stephanie Soulis, Rhonda Stewart, Garrett Vanderweist, and Andre Verhust. Please welcome your board of directors. Carol Normando is our interim Chief Executive Officer, and she works with and is supported by our executive leadership team, who is seated on the upper podium here. Brian Albers, Executive Vice President of People and Culture, Rhonda Hoy, Executive Vice President Operations, Scott Ferguson, Executive Vice President of Information Systems, Janet Johnson, Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer, and Michael Schmidt, Executive Vice President Brand and Digital Delivery. We are joined by Janet Taylor, who is our Corporate Secretary. I will now call upon Brian Albers to present our Growing Prosperity Awards. Brian?
Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Brian Albers, and I'm excited to be here this morning. As Jackie mentioned, it's great to be here in person after a couple of years of virtual hellos. I'm also thrilled that in my first attempt at not tripping on the multi-tiered stage was successful, so thank you for that. And maybe I'll start with, as Jackie mentioned, certainly thinking a lot about our Kona team right now, how they're doing, how we can help. And please know that almost 800 individuals at our credit union are wrapping their arms around these individuals. And it's an incredible example of our culture at work. And it's something difficult that they're moving through, and it is something unique, the support that they've received from everybody. So I do want to say thank you to everybody here for their warm wishes of support and concern, and it's so appreciated. It's what makes Libro great. It's what makes Libro unique. So thank you for that. And it's also something that even in a difficult time, we can be proud of as a credit union. And so that's making us better, making our communities better every time we show our support. So thank you. And it's also why I'm standing here, because we're very proud of the culture that we have here. And so I'm here to introduce our 2022 Growing Prosperity Awards. So it's an honor to introduce them. And these awards recognize outstanding achievement in what it means to be Libro. Today, we're going to honor 3 recipients, a staff, an owner representative, and an owner. And each of these individuals have made a significant contribution to growing prosperity here in Southwestern Ontario. It can include achievements such as volunteerism, contribution to economic impacts, coaching staff, coaching owners, leadership, and contribution to our cooperative values. Now, to find these epic humans, a selection committee is brought together, including Alan DeVilliers, Jackie Davison, Carol Normando, the now retired Steve Bolton, and myself. And so thank you to everybody who took the time to submit a nomination. It's inspirational. We received wonderful nominations this year, and a testament to the caliber of people who support Libro's purpose. Now, as an award overview, in addition to being recognized today, we will celebrate our winners in a couple of unique ways. First, they each receive a customized painting created by London artist Tony Sinitar Poole of Two Gates Art Studio. Also, Libro makes an $1,000 charitable donation to a organization of our winners' choice, something that they're passionate about, and we also recognize them on Libro.ca. Now, as we announce our award winners, you'll hear and see from their nominator. You'll see a picture of their painting on the screen. They're also over here, although unless your site is better than 2020, it's probably a little bit difficult to see them, so they'll be up on screen, and we'll share a little bit about where they've chosen to invest their donation. So we're going to start with the staff category, and I would love to invite Donna Diebel, owner representative in Waterloo, up to present the staff award.
Good morning, everyone. This award recipient is being recognized for her hard work and passion for community involvement and her Be Libro attitude, and for being an epic Libro staff member. I'd like to congratulate Marcia Peaks on winning this year's Growing Prosperity staff category and share more about why she's receiving this honor. Marcia has shown her passion for community involvement as a longtime volunteer with our local food bank, sitting for now 8 years on the front desk at Kitchener's Williamsburg branch. Marcia is our branch's gatekeeper. She's the first smile you see as you enter the branch. She's the voice of the branch, answering the phone, and Marcia truly interacts with all. When others are busy tending to other owners, Marcia is quick to say, "How might I assist you today?" My youngest daughter, Jessica, is a Libro owner. Jessica is also an avid world traveler. In 2018, Jessica left Canada for a 2-year work term in London. Probably gonna cry because she's still away from home. It was Marcia we constantly reached out to for Jessica to start a bank account in the UK. Too bad they don't have a Libro branch. And any other issues Jessica faced while away from home. Jessica is presently on a 5-year work term in Kobe, Japan. Again, Marcia's the first one to assist with any away from home banking. Libro involvement Jessica has is needed. I didn't think I'd cry over this. Marcia consistently surpasses my expectations too. As a saver, I always try hard to keep out of the branch. However, when I need information about recent share purchasing, RSPs, account information, Libro meeting information, etc., Marcia is always my local go-to. She always has the information I need and readily provides it. It's easy to see that Marcia loves Libro, represents Libro well, and is helpful to all she assists through coaching, offering service excellence, and her dedication to Libro. Congratulations, Marcia.
So Marcia is an owner experience representative at our Williamsburg branch, and Marcia's painting, the first one, and you can now see it on the screen, is called Sunset on Sauble Beach. So we have an artist who does some scouting to understand what our winners like. So when relaxing, Marcia loves nothing more than a good book and walking on the sand beach at her cottage in Sauble Beach, Ontario. On behalf of Marcia, Libro has made a donation to Marillac Place in Kitchener. Now, Marillac Place is a facility that supports new mothers and mothers-to-be facing homelessness in Waterloo region. And Libro has also done some volunteering to support them in the past. Marcia, congratulations on being the Growing Prosperity Award in the staff category. Now we're going to move to the owner representative category. So I'm going to invite Jordan Moat up, our regional community manager of our London, Elgin, Oxford region, to share a bit more.
Good morning, everyone. The next award recipient is recognized for growing prosperity across various communities and for being so aligned to Libro's pillars. I'd like to congratulate Adam Wissink on winning this year's Growing Prosperity Award Owner Representative category. Adam is a successful business owner and a member of the Leo South Council as an owner representative. Adam's business, Jag Properties, is an excellent example of a business that delivers on one of the pillars foundational to Libro Credit Union, housing, where we strive to enhance access for all to adequate, safe, and affordable housing. Jag Properties was built to help people who may not qualify for a traditional mortgage. They provide alternative solutions customized to an individual's specific situation. With a very minimal down payment, they will assist in putting together a rent-to-own model to help put families into their dream homes. Jag Properties was recognized at this year's London Chamber of Commerce Business Achievement Awards as the winner of the Small Business of the Year, a testament to the great work they do in our community across southwestern Ontario. Adam has also been an integral part of the Leo South Council this year, leading our candidate recruitment committee to ensure a strong evergreen list and a successful succession plan is built that will ensure diversity within our council. Congratulations, Adam.
So as an owner representative in our LEO Regional Council, you may recognize Adam if you read the 2021 annual report. So Jag was in there as a success story, as a Libro business owner. So check that out, and the 2022 annual report, which was well done. So congratulations to everybody who played a part in that. Adam's painting is the second one in and is on the screen now, and it's called A Purple Sky to Close the Day. So Adam and his family spend a lot of time at their cottages in the summer, particularly on the beach. It's at this point that I'm reflecting on why I don't have a cottage at the beach because everybody seems to be there, and the weather has been perfect for it. On behalf of Adam, Libro has made a donation to the Ronald McDonald House, whose vision is for every child in a hospital to have their families close by and to ensure the families are well supported in their houses and remain actively involved in their child's care. So congratulations, Adam, on being this year's award winner in the Owner Representatives. And finally, I'm here to speak to the owner category, because without our owners, Libro would not be as epic. It's why we're here. We wouldn't be as passionate or bold. Our focus is to inspire financial happiness each and every day. So to all of our owners here, thank you for allowing us to do that and for coming alongside us on this journey of growing prosperity. And I'm gonna invite Marty Rops, Regional Community Manager, to speak a little bit more on that.
Good morning, everyone. This next individual is recognized for being so passionate about the well-being of communities, thinking differently, and for helping ensure diverse, thriving communities. And along with co-nominator Virginia Dunbar, who's our community manager in Listowel, I'd like to congratulate Todd Kazenberg on winning this year's Growing Prosperity Award in the owner category. Todd grew up in Windsor, spent time in Northern Ontario, and lived in Kitchener prior to moving to North Perth in 2016. And as a newcomer to the community and having an interest in getting involved, Todd submitted his nomination papers for the 2018 municipal elections and was elected as mayor in his first attempt. In addition to the energy and passion that he brought to the role, he also came with a fresh perspective and a focus on needing to think outside the box. To illustrate this, he invited community leaders and residents to a number of roundtable discussions focusing on housing, on youth, mental health, and the current labor shortage, and how all of this will have an impact on agriculture, which is the largest industry in the region. He recognized the need to attract and train skilled workers and was instrumental in obtaining government funding for the creation of Set 7, which provides residents of Perth, Huron, and Wellington counties access to world-class training with programs dedicated to manufacturing and trades, construction sector specialized training, hospitality, as well as additional training in the soft skills. He speaks passionately of the need for rural communities to be more welcoming to new immigrants and has been a strong proponent of diversity, equity, and inclusion at the county level. He's been very supportive of the Huron-Perth Ag Science Center project to be based in North Perth, and also has a vision of bringing an agricultural technology post-secondary institution to North Perth as well. He has a real skill in bringing people together to brainstorm different ideas and recognizes that his municipality is part of a larger region and that through collaboration, solutions can be found for many of the challenges we face. Congratulations, Todd.
So Todd is an owner out of our Listowel location, and his painting is the last one on my left there, and it's on the screen. This painting is inspired by the James Webb Telescope took this image, and it's called Deep Space, which is appropriate because we also found out that Todd is a big Star Trek fan, so that works. I watched The Next Generation. That was a wonderful show. Thank you, Todd. We'll talk later. On behalf of Todd, Libro has made a donation to the United Way of Perth Huron, and United Way is an organization that helps improve and build community by engaging individuals and mobilizing collective action. So Todd, congratulations on being this year's award winner in the owner category. Now, Marcia, Adam, Todd, you're all incredible examples of what it means to be Libro. So thank you. Thank you for simply being who you are as people, as humans. And as we bring this portion of the agenda to a close, and while I have your attention, starting on Monday, you you can all get your phones out and put this in your calendar right now. Libro will begin accepting nominations for the 2023 Growing Prosperity Awards. So go to libro.ca to nominate an owner rep, or a staff person who you know is a worthy recipient, and continue to share and celebrate the stories that makes us all Libro. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Brian. And congratulations to our award winners. I'll now ask Janet Taylor to provide a report on our registration. Janet?
Thank you, Jackie, and good morning, everyone. A special good morning to our Libro team in Arkona. You continue to be in my thoughts. As of 10:15 a.m. this morning, there were 75 owner representatives registered to participate in the meeting.
Thank you, Janet. Our quorum requirement set out in bylaws as at least equal to 50% of the owner representatives currently serving across Libro. We have 97 owner representatives, making our quorum requirement 49. Therefore, we have quorum to conduct this meeting. I would like to add that during the meeting, owner representatives may join late or leave early. This does not impact their eligibility to vote while attending the meeting. Therefore, the number of votes cast in any motion or special resolution may differ from our reported quorum numbers. That brings us to our agenda. You will find on pages 4 and 5 of your AGM workbook. We've kept the agenda short and will be covering the business we need to conduct. I will not be asking for a motion on this item. As such, we will proceed with the business before us. Janet Taylor will present the minutes from our last annual general meeting and the business arising from those minutes. Janet?
Thanks again. The minutes of the 8th Annual General Meeting of Libro Credit Union, held on Saturday, April 2nd, 2022, are found on pages 6 through 12 of your AGM workbook. The minutes are presented for adoption as distributed in advance, and you'll be glad to hear that I will not be reading them aloud. I will take a moment, however, to comment on the items identified under business arising, found on page 13 of the workbook. First, at our AGM last year, we were anxiously awaiting the start of an investment share offering period. And as you'll likely hear a few times today, it was the biggest investment share offering in our history. Owners showed their support for our credit union by investing $96.8 million. This is a testament to the trust our owners have in Libro, and it strengthens our capital base, making us an even stronger credit union. What you don't see in the Business Arising report is that this huge success was the result of staff from every part of the credit union giving their all to make it happen. So to our staff and our owners, I say thank you. Second, Libro recognizes that climate change affects us all, and we're committed to helping owners affected by this complex issue. We've spent 2022 setting the foundations for learning about climate change, our impact, and what we can do as we monitor the increasing demands by stakeholders and regulators. We know that we play a unique role in enabling a just transition to a net zero economy. And in case you're wondering, net zero is a target of completely negating the amount of greenhouse gases produced by human activity. This will be achieved by reducing emissions and implementing methods of absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Libro has started the work to fulfill our role in reaching a net zero economy. We're tracking our greenhouse gas emissions through a partnership with Green Economy London, and we're working to reduce the impact of our buildings and daily operations. Our 7-year roadmap will help us achieve energy reduction by using sustainable energy design in our buildings and by exploring renewable energy opportunities. We're in the process of calculating our financed emissions impact. That's the indirect greenhouse gas emissions attributable to financial institutions through their involvement in providing capital or financing. We joined the Partnership for Carbon Accounting Financials, or PCAF, which is a global industry-led initiative to measure and disclose the greenhouse gas emissions financed by loans and investments. Finally, we're preparing to disclose operational and financed emissions baselines in 2024, and annually after that, report on progress in reducing emissions. Back to you, Jackie.
Thank you, Janet. The minutes of the last meeting do require a vote, so owner representatives, you should see the voting options appear on your device. You'll be able to vote in favor or against the adoption of the minutes of the last annual general meeting. Your vote selection will stay on your screen until we close the voting. I will pause for owner representatives to vote. Once the voting has closed, the moderator will share the results. Great, so voting will close in 3, 2, 1. Voting is now closed. There were 100% of votes in favor of approving the minutes of the last AGM, so I declare that motion carried. And congratulations to all the owner representatives for your keen use of technology. So now I'd like to give the report from the Board of Directors. Our theme of today's annual general meeting is from strength to strength, and you will see that theme throughout our reporting today. The theme is what makes Libro strong today and into the future. What will make me stronger is if the teleprompter moved with my ad hoc. Up front, I really want to recognize the work of our staff in building the strong credit union that we have today. Our staff are dealing with owners and providing timely services every day. We've already mentioned the significant armed robbery in Arkona 2 weeks ago, and we reflect on how that event has impacted our staff in a very personal way. We continue to work with law enforcement on the investigation of how we can increase security for all of our branches. Your AGM workbook gives an annual report of in-depth information regarding the operations of the prior year. I'm not going to repeat what's included there, but I do want to draw out some of the highlights from 2022 to point out the successes and the challenges in the important work that we've been doing. Reflecting on 2022, there were 3 significant factors that overshadowed our work. Globally, the conflict in Ukraine continues to impact world markets and energy prices. Locally, we saw communities emerge from 2 years of pandemic, and owners faced very difficult personal and business decisions as a result. And nationally, we experienced dramatic increases in interest rates. It's hard to believe that last year at our AGM, the Bank of Canada rate was less than 1%. It now stands at 4.6%. You will hear more about the impact of these events throughout today. Internal to Libro, the most significant event was our retirement of head coach Steve Bolton and the selection of our new CEO. The process to appoint CEO is a critical role for your board of directors and one that we don't do very often. Our search committee was comprised of Mary Catherine Cush, Alain de Villiers, and Garrett Vanderweist, and myself. We were supported by Tanya Godine and Janet Taylor. We conducted a national search, working with an executive search firm. We took extreme care to identify the best candidate for Libro in skills, experience, and especially values. We are delighted to be welcoming Sean Good as our CEO for May 1st. For Sean, joining Libro is about returning to his rural southwestern Ontario. He is already located to Waterloo area with his family as he wraps up his work with Sask Central. Sean is an inspiring leader, and I'm certain that he will lead us from strength to strength. Sean is a strong communicator, a storyteller, and a timeless advocate for credit unions and cooperative banking. I'm really excited to get to know Sean and know what comes next. While we have a new CEO, our purpose has not changed, and we continue to look for ways to grow prosperity for all of our owners. Some other important topics I want to address today. As board chair, I have a unique perspective of our governance structure and the activity of our board members and others. It's really great to see the high level of engagement of our owner representatives as well as our directors. Please take a moment to read through the long list of activities in 2022 that our board participated in. It shows the depth and the scope of how we, as members of our community, experts in our own fields, can contribute to making our credit union better. Thank you for all you are doing every hour, every email, every visit, and more. And please know that we recognize this work and understand it adds real value to Libro. After I speak, we're holding the elections for the board of directors. It's amazing to see the choice of voting for a range of very impressive candidates. Thank you to everyone who has put themselves forward for the board and everyone who serves on the board. It's a very demanding role, but it's very satisfying. It really adds value best when we make sure the right people are at the table with the right skills and competencies. You will see discussion of that in the workbook, and we welcome the work in partnership with our regulators to apply standards in this area to ensure our credit union directors are well equipped for their roles. Janet has already mentioned the serious issue of climate change. As the single most important issue of our time, it has long been a topic of conversation for your Libro board, and that continues. I'm happy to see us learning more in this area and making real progress towards meaningful understanding of our impact in the environment. Here, the board's voice is as important as ever in representing owners and the wider community in making sure we are all part of the conversation. The workbook and annual report have details of the work that has taken place, and I look forward to much more. Thanks everyone for working so hard on this. This year, you will again see in your workbooks a prominent mention of diversity and inclusion. I want to make sure to call it out as an issue that is vital to the future of Libro. We will only be successful if we continue to treat everyone with respect and recognize the stories of everyone in our service area, whatever their unique life experiences may be. Your workbook now includes reporting around culture and inclusivity, and Libro is working to increase this reporting and to build awareness of the issues related to diversity and inclusion. A report including board gender diversity, as required by the Act, follows the report of the board standing committees. This is another step forward for us to be a passionately accountable and mutually inclusive organization, and as a purpose-based business, another example of Libro leading with strong values. And those values are part of our strength. Today we are talking about Libro going from strength to strength. And conversations like the ones that we're having today are now of how we continue to build strength together. If anyone has questions on the board report as presented today and in the annual general meeting, we will hear them now. Those joining remotely can submit questions through the messaging function on your screen, and in person, you can use the mics. Thank you. Any questions, Janet? Great. So we have no questions at this point. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you there.
That's because I'm hiding off to the side. Helena Zaleski from Goderich, Huron-Perth North. It's a question about some of the risks as we look towards the future. For example, what if our poultry farms were closed by avian flu? Can we survive that? Or how do we handle it? Changes in interest rates, you referred to bank failures in the States. How are we looking forward to challenges of the future such as these? Thank you.
Certainly. Thank you very much for that question. And Janet Johnson, would you like to help me with this one?
Maybe I can address it when I come up.
Certainly. So we, at the board, we certainly look at risk all the time, and we have a mechanism to measure our stress as a credit union to determine how much stress we can handle. And obviously, the capital requirements to fulfill that stress is very important. And certainly after the Silicon Valley Bank failure in the States, we certainly did a lot of work very quickly to make sure that we wouldn't have a similar issue. So Janet Johnson, our CFO, will have more to say about that during her report. Okay, thank you for that question. Great. So now we come to our Director of Elections, and Janet Taylor, our Corporate Secretary, has been appointed by the board to serve as our Elections Chair. Janet?
Thank you once again. Before I get into the elections, the Director Recruitment Subcommittee has asked me to share some information with you. You'll find their report on page 26 in your AGM workbook. The committee is acutely aware and wants owner representatives to be equally aware that Libro is a growing and complex organization that requires directors with the skills, education, experience, and commitment to govern the credit union. In their work this past year, the committee spent time reflecting on the pace and impact of director turnover, the skills, attributes, and competencies of current directors, and what that looks like as Libro grows, the required competency levels set out by our regulator, and Libro's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. The Director Recruitment Subcommittee is pleased to present owner representatives with director candidates who possess a broad range of valuable skills. Moving on to the elections. Information on elections and our candidates begins on page 31 of the AGM workbook. There are 4 vacancies, with all of those positions for a 3-year term of office. Terms of office have expired for Alan DeViller, Jeff McCollum, Jody Simpson, and Garrett Vanderwist. During the advance nomination period, we received 6 nominations from Jeff Brown, Alan DeViller, John Fife Miller, Jody Simpson, Andrew Swatridge, and Garrett Vanderwist. Following the process set out in our bylaws and election rules, the floor is not open to further nominations, and we will be conducting a vote by ballot after we hear from each of the candidates, who have up to 3 minutes each to speak. You will hear from them in alphabetical order by surname, just as they appear in your AGM workbook. First, we'll hear from Jeff Brown.
To the AGM, or the Libro board, Libro employees, owner reps, and honored guests, good morning. My name is Jeff Brown. Why do I want to be a Libro director? A friend recently asked me this question, and what I'd like to do is share with you the answer I gave him. In 2000, my then bank of almost 20 years denied me a mortgage. 2 years prior, I had left my job at London Life to co-found High Street Asset Management, and my bank said they didn't like the instability of an entrepreneur's earnings. My brother, a longtime owner, suggested St. Willibrod's. I'd never even been in a branch. But one meeting, and I walked out not only with a new mortgage, but a new place to bank. Libro listens. This was my first indication that banking could be done differently. My second indication came when I subsequently went into the downtown Central branch, and Judy from behind the reception desk greeted me by saying, "Hi, Jeff." When I went in the Masonville branch, Mary greeted me in the same fashion. I wasn't a number. Libro banks on a first-name basis. My third indication about the Libro difference came when I won contracts to supply wealth management services to Libro. First at High Street, which won the mandate to manage a Credential mutual fund, and later at 18 Asset Management, another local wealth management firm that I founded, which won the mandate to manage a portion of the Libro employee pension plan. Libro's sense of community, of dealing locally, of building partnerships was evident in every interaction that I had with them. Libro treats suppliers in the same way they treat owners. I want to be a Libro director because I share these values, and I have lived the same culture in the firms that I have founded. Plus, as I told my friend, I've now retired. I'm no longer a Libro supplier. I can contribute to the board without there being a conflict of interest. But there's one more part to the answer I gave my friend, and that's this. I have a passion for Libro. I have a passion for the way Libro does business. I have a passion for the way Libro treats owners, and I have a passion for Libro's quest to grow prosperity in southwestern Ontario. Thank you for your time and attention today and for considering me as a Libro director. Should you vote for me, I pledge that I will bring my governance, education, and experience to the Libro board. I pledge that I will bring my long career's worth of wealth management expertise to the Libro board. And importantly, I pledge that I'll bring my passion to the Libro board. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Next, we'll hear from Alan DeViller.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Alan DeViller, and I'm one of the director candidates for the 2023 election. My experience as an active Libro director for the past 6 years has been very rewarding. I continue to develop my skills as a director by having been on the Audit and Finance Committee, chair of the Risk and Credit Committee, and for the past 2 years, chair of the People and Culture Committee. I was also appointed to the CEO Search Committee and the Director Recruitment Committee. I've advanced my knowledge of climate change governance and CEO and executive compensation, as these were deemed critical skills identified by the board. I've continued to develop my working relationships with other credit union directors and CEOs, staff throughout the various branches, and, most importantly, the many owner representatives and owners throughout the regions. I have a Master's of Business Administration and Master of Public Administration degree with professional designations in project management, risk management. I've also maintained my designation as a fellow chartered insurance professional. I've completed the professional designation with the Institute of Corporate Directors. Additionally, I've completed the Board Governance of Climate Change course through the Institute. I'm also a member of the Chapter 0 Climate Change Specialty Chapter of the Institute. One of the highlights of serving with the board is the Director Liaison position. During my tenure, I've been associated with 5 branches and 2 regions. I've also enjoyed the various summit meetings and forums. This has given me the opportunity to meet and get to know many of the owner representatives and hear their stories on how much they value Libro's contribution to their communities. As the credit union environment in Libro evolves, I will continue to learn and develop to meet the expanding requirements of a director. Libro's future is a challenging but a bright one. We will continue to build and focus on the prosperity of our owners. This will include the anticipated environmental, social governance, along with the diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives for Libro and the board. Growth for Libro will be built on the sound business foundation we have established and the execution of the strategic direction developed by the board with the input of the Libro CEO and executive team. Attentiveness to the new market segments, along with renewed concentration on the agricultural sector, will define our future. I believe Libro's core values as a purpose-driven organization is important to all owners and the communities we serve. If re-elected, I will continue to be a strong voice at the board table in a rapidly changing environment. You should re-elect me to the board of directors because I have the time, drive, commitment, and passion needed by the board, combined with the experience and education required to fulfill the responsibilities rightfully expected from all owners. I respectfully ask you re-elect me to the board of directors to continue our journey.
Thank you, Alan. Now John Fife Miller will speak.
Morning, everyone. First, to put a myth to rest for those who know me really well, yes, I do own a tie. I want to thank everyone for coming here today. It is a real honor to be up here with the 6 individuals who are looking to fill these vacancies for this awesome organization. You know, when you do this, I spoke to my wife about what I was going to say, because when you video, you do Teams meetings, you write your information out, sometimes the gas tank empties out about what you're going to say. And she looked at me and she said, "John, that's never been your problem, running out of things to say." So I guess why me? I think a combination of my business background and community engagement makes me an excellent candidate for the Libro board. For over 4 decades, I've dedicated myself to building a healthier society. And I believe at the heart of that society is entrepreneurship. Communities flourish around strong, inclusive, unique businesses that are striving for financial resilience. And while that financial resilience is key to our liberal way of life, make no mistake that it builds a community resilience that is untouchable. To me, Libro is all about building that resilience through financial and social leadership. At the same point, if you really want to see that resilience in action, look around this room. Businesses shut down through the pandemic that continued to reopen their doors. Farms hampered by climate change, investing in new technology to produce and be profitable. I've also had the opportunity to work with some incredible organizations, from the Chamber of Commerce to the Downtown BIA to my own neighborhood association. One of the things we can never lose sight of is that one of the most precious commodities we have to give is time. And it is that commitment that allows these organizations to flourish at the most opportune times. So why Libro? For me, that answer is simple. My father opened his business 50 years ago this month. On my wall, I keep a copy of his first year's financials. An annual draw shows of $2,000 to support a family of 5, while leaving money in his business account for a rainy day. In his mind, when he needed his institution, they were nowhere to be found. I'm proud to say that's not Libro. I'm proud to say that's not the people in Libro. They believe in the messaging. Libro truly is banking with a difference. So I want to close by thanking all of you who get up every day to kickstart your community. Whether you're the field, the fork, or somewhere in between, make no mistake that the strength of your community lies with you, and your strength is Libro's strength. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Next is Jody Simpson.
Hello, I'm Jody Simpson. I've been privileged to serve as your board director these past 3 years, and I'm honored to stand alongside this incredible, impressive group of director candidates. As a past owner representative, I know the full weight of your responsibility in carrying the vote of our owners, so we thank you for your ongoing service, and especially so on this day. I joined the board when the world turned upside down, and none of us could have predicted the disruption and change ahead. As I reflect back as a director, navigating change and disruption is all I've ever known. Today, our world continues to experience economic, social, and political turbulence. Our credit union industry is also facing significant change, increasing competition, ongoing digital transformation, shifting customer expectations, and intense regulatory pressures now form the background in which Libro operates and plans for the future. Transformation is never defined by a single event. It's a process that requires a shift in our mindsets, behaviors, and capabilities. Looking back, I am blown away by the way Libro continues to respond to this ever-shifting landscape. Today, we are stronger, more resilient, and becoming adept in our ability to transform and move in pace with the world. I'm proud to have contributed to the strength of experience and knowledge that exists on this board, and know that my role as an entrepreneur and small business owner supporting newcomers has added to the diversity of perspectives and our board composition. I understand the enormous responsibilities we hold, and I've taken my role very seriously. The learning curve is a steep one for new directors, and I know my passion for learning has served me very well. I'm grateful for Libro for its significant investments in our education, experience, and mentorship. I know because we've all become better directors because of it. And today I'm ready to leverage those investments in service to Libro and our owners. I remain values aligned, and our purpose fuels my passion and shapes the way I show up at the board table. While fiduciary responsibilities are absolutely fundamental, values alignment must remain central to our work as directors. You've entrusted us to ensure that Libro remains profitable and sustainable, but we must never forget we are also stewards of our culture, values, and our purpose. I'm excited about the future of Libro. I'm excited about our ESG journey, our commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and our efforts to embed climate considerations into our entire organization. I'm excited to see how our Libro pillars will continue to shape and impact our communities, and how we will continue to be a beacon of community leadership and social responsibility. I'm ready for the industry changes and opportunities that lie ahead, from technology and digital innovations to open banking to data governance to the future. I say, bring it on. We're ready. And lastly, I'm excited to support and work with our new CEO, Sean Good, and the new energy he will bring to Libro. So today, I ask for your support and your vote so that I may be able to continue to serve you with passion and dedication and play a part of this exciting next chapter. Thank you.
Thank you, Jody. Now we'll hear from Andrew Swatridge.
Hi, everyone. My name's Andrew Swatridge, and I'd like to talk about 3 things today: data governance, financial resilience, and why I'm here. One of the unique skills that I bring centers around data and data governance. This is a particular focus for Libro as we continue to invest in digital services and experience new regulatory frameworks related to data governance. In my day job, I work with data every day, trying to pull out insights in order to improve the business. All of this is within a broader global data protection framework. I'd like to contribute to Libro staying at the front of the pack when it comes to data, both in terms of ensuring the safety of Libro owners' data, as well as utilizing data to help make money better for all owners. The second area that I'd like to focus on is financial resilience. As Sophie asked the question earlier, with the recent news of Silicon Valley Bank, Credit Suisse, and others, it's never been more important to stay vigilant when it comes to managing liquidity risk, credit risk, market risk, and interest rate risk. Given my financial education and experience reading financial statements, working within an enterprise risk management framework, I'd like to contribute and stay focused on ensuring that we can continue to help Libro members in a safe and financially sustainable way. Finally, I'd be remiss not to mention why I'm here. Over the past 8 years, I've been committed to a couple different charities and nonprofits, one in education and another in rural healthcare. It's this commitment to serving the community and giving back to a community that has given me so much that has brought me to this nomination. I would be honored to serve the owners of Libro and remain committed to learning, asking questions, and diving into the data wherever required in order to serve my fiduciary and board oversight responsibilities. Thank you for your time today and your firm commitment to Libro's unique governance structure.
Thank you, Andrew. Our final candidate to speak is Garrett Vanderwist.
Hi, everyone. I gotta say, it's truly great to see you all here in person together celebrating Libro. My name is Garrett, and for anyone who doesn't know me, I am a longtime Libro owner. I have been an owner since before I can remember. I got involved with governance at Libro when an Ag Federation colleague recommended that I put my hand up for something at St. Thomas, and in 2017, and I was nominated to the board in 2020. And we joke about it now, but the first time I went through this whole process, I did it from home in my house slippers and some stretchy pants. So this is much different. But it really was a surreal experience at that time, being tapped to serve an organization that meant so much to me and that I was so certain of my commitment to at a time that I was so uncertain. We were all uncertain of so much else. And so I really took that commitment seriously. From the jump, I focused on getting up the learning curve as fast as possible, researching, learning, reading to, and getting mentorship from everyone I could. And I'm really, really grateful and lucky that I was able to join the board when I did and learn from the tremendous people that were at the board and ELT table at that time. Their impact helped me gain valuable insight into developing a deep understanding of the needs of credit union members and the challenges faced by credit unions today. Now, there are many experienced, talented candidates here for election. However, what sets me apart from my colleagues is the unique perspective I have from my diverse background in small, medium business, agriculture, community, private equity, and more. Firstly, I'm deeply passionate about agriculture. I've farmed since I was a kid. Tractor was my first word, and I'm lucky enough to work every day with leaders in the Canadian ag landscape. I also have co-founded a number of businesses, and I currently help to manage a commercial electrical contracting business that grew out of a specialization in energy projects like solar, biogas, and more. I am a fiduciary in private equity, where we manage 85 solar farms here in Ontario and about 1,000 acres down in the States. And also, I'm a community volunteer and leader with some great organizations like here at RBC Place London, where I have the privilege of serving as the chair of our Audit and Finance Committee. And so those unique perspectives from my experience are an asset to the board, because I understand the challenges that farmers, developers, business owners, and other 20-somethings are facing in financing their operations and their lives. My vision for Libro is an organization that continues to help those owners grow and those organizations grow beyond, to support conventional ag, grow beyond urban sprawl, and help develop a common sense clean energy economy. So I humbly ask you to vote for me so I can continue serving Libro and keep building a credit union that adapts, innovates, manages risk, and puts owners first. Thank you.
Thank you, Garrett, and thank you to all of our candidates. It takes courage to put yourself out there and run for the board. That has tremendous and immeasurable merit. In a moment, I will ask to have the voting open to owner representatives. Based on the new Credit Unions and Caisses Populaires Act, you will be able to vote for up to 4 candidates, but you will not be able to cast vote for more than one, or not be able to cast more than one vote for any single candidate. Once the voting closes, I will recess the elections and Jackie will continue with the meeting until election results are ready. At that time, I will report the names of those elected, determined by the order of votes received, and I will also report the total number of ballots submitted. If there is a tie for the 4th position, where that tie determines the difference between being elected and not elected, then I will conduct a runoff ballot. So I'll now ask for the voting to be opened. This vote is a little different. So after selecting up to 4 candidates, owner representatives will need to submit their vote. So you need to submit it. We will not close it for a little bit. You have time to do that.
Thank you, Janet. And thank you to you, our owner representatives, for fulfilling this important role in electing Libro's board of directors. And good luck to all of the candidates. We're going to pause a few minutes so owner representatives can finish voting. Please remember to actually submit the vote. Thank you. Okay, we're going to get ready to close the voting, so if you've voted, please make sure you've submitted. I'm hesitant to do this because it's the first time we've used this technology, but we're going to close the vote in 3, 2, 1. Thank you. We are going to continue with our meeting and bring Janet back with the results when they're ready to be shared later in the meeting. Alan de Villiers is chair of our People and Culture Committee, and he will present our next agenda item. Alan?
Thank you, Jackie, and good morning, everyone. Before I continue, I wanted to expand on what I was saying a few minutes ago. One of my past director liaison assignments was with the Arkona branch. I got to know several of the staff at the branch, and when I heard what happened in early April, my thoughts immediately went to them. I, like most people, will continue to keep the staff in our thoughts in the weeks and months to come. On behalf of the People and Culture Committee, I'm pleased to present the special resolution to restate and amend Libro's bylaws. The information for this special resolution starts on page 52 of your AGM workbook. There is a summary of changes on page 54 to 57, and the restated and amended bylaws begin on page 58. I'll take a few minutes to provide background and highlight the changes. Owner representatives will recall this information was presented and discussed during your March Regional Council meetings, so this will be a review for you. The bylaws were reviewed from 3 perspectives. First, alignment with the new Act, regulations, and rules. Second, our changing society. And third, membership share requirements. On March 1st, 2022, the Credit Unions and Caisses Populaires Act 2020 was proclaimed by the Government of Ontario. Along with the new Act came updated regulations and rules. Throughout the past year, Libro's board and management have reviewed the Act, regulations, and rules to update not only the bylaws being presented today, but also the board policy. Normally, we would update the bylaws first, then align the policy with it. However, for timeliness, we conducted the reviews in tandem. Board policy updates were completed this past December. In her video for the regional council meetings, Janet provided you with a couple of examples of this type of change. Let me remind you of those. One example is the details on how we cast votes for director candidates. Where the prior act required you to vote for the number of candidates equal to the number of vacancies, the new act allows you to vote for the number of candidates less than or equal to the vacancies, but not more than one vote for each candidate. Another example is our new statement on diversity reporting. The Act requires that we report on gender diversity for the board. Libro has expanded on that requirement by including the board gender as one part of the overall diversity reporting. In practice, Libro has been reporting on board, owner representative, and staff gender diversity for a few years. Speaking of a few years, it's been almost 10 years since we first wrote our bylaws. We've made some changes during that time related to councils and B Corp requirements, and our world has changed. As a purpose-driven, digital-first, coaching everywhere credit union, it was easy to see where we needed to update the bylaws to fit the society in which we live today. One example you'll see throughout the bylaws is the choice of language. Using this more inclusive language reflects our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's a simple yet powerful change. Other changes consider our increasing reliance on technology, such as positioning board election voting for the use of electronic balloting. We've used this electronic voting for the past 3 years and expect to continue to practice as it allows for more owner representatives to participate. We also took this opportunity to introduce change that positions us for the future. As the board plans to implement candidate endorsement process for the 2024 director elections, adoption of candidate endorsement reflects a thoughtful approach to successful succession planning and more rigorous recruitment activity. Details will be shared with the owner representatives beginning in June. For now, the only bylaw change required was the timing of the advance nomination period. Lastly, and perhaps most significantly, the board has adopted a change to the bylaw to our membership share requirements. The change introduces share requirements to $5 for any new owner after January 1st, 2024. Let me back up to explain how and why we came to this decision. Last spring, management shared with the board that they would be conducting research into the membership share requirements. One of the most important during the review was to find a solution that maintains cooperative principles and democratic rights, aids in owner acquisition, makes it easier to talk about Libro's brand, and minimizes the financial and legislative impacts of the change. Our research found that $50 was seen by many in our communities as a barrier to doing business with Libro, leading us to frequently subsidize the shares. $5 maintains cooperative ownership and democratic rights, while also making Libro more accessible to those in our communities. We have also found that from an external equity perspective, Libro has one of the highest membership share requirements of our peer credit unions in Canada. Owner representatives will recall this chart. It was in your council meeting package, showing a comparison of share requirements. This change brings us more in line with the others. Management considered a number of options before presenting to the board. Those options were shared with the board and owner representatives in March. In the chosen option, we're keeping the existing share accounts at $50 or $10 for owners that hold on December 31st. The $5 share requirement starts January 1st. We know this will mean some subsidization of shares in the fall and some crucial conversations with owners who will retain their higher amount of shares. Preparing staff for those conversations is one of the reasons for the delayed implementation. Maintaining the existing share accounts maintains our capital levels. New capital rules would require us to replace the capital if it were paid out shares over $5 to existing owners. Raising the capital to replace the shares would be prohibitive and not a viable option. This option maintains the capital with minimal impact to our owners. From a governance perspective, our bylaws already allow for owners to hold up to 500 M shares. Additionally, because we're not impacting the capital structure of Libro, we don't need to have this change approved by the investment and profit shareholders, which would be another prohibitive option. We've had our lawyer and our regulator review the option and have heard that there is no legislative or regulatory impediment to making this change. I will now turn it back to Jackie and welcome any questions from the owner representatives.
Yes. Thanks, Alan. Before we move on to the vote, are there any questions? I'm definitely looking at that mic over there today. Any online? Great, thank you very much. So we have no questions with respect to the special resolution. The special resolution is written on page 58 of the workbook and includes the full bylaw through to page 103. The special resolution requires a 2/3 majority vote to pass. I will now ask to open the voting to owner representatives. You will see a motion to confirm restated and amended bylaw as presented today and in the AGM workbook. Your selection for or against will remain on the screen until we close the voting. We will give you about 90 seconds to vote. Thank you. I think this is where we need that great playlist that we had last year. Either that or Jeopardy music. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, somebody's whistling it over there. You good? Perfect. Okay, great. The moderator has indicated that 65 of the owner representatives voted in favor of the motion, which is 95% of the votes cast. So we declare this motion has carried. Thank you. Now the results of the board election are ready as well. So we turn the meeting over to Janet Taylor to present those results. Janet?
Thank you. I'm pleased to announce that the following candidates have been elected to the Libro Board of Directors: Garrett Vanderwist, Jody Simpson, Jeff Brown, and Alan DeViller. There was a total of 72 ballots submitted. I'd like to offer my congratulations to the successful candidates, and I'd also like to say thank you to Andrew and John for their commitment to Libro's success by putting their names forward to the Board of Directors. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet, and thank you to our owner representatives for exercising your responsibility by voting in these elections. We'd like to invite Jeff Brown to join us at the table at this time. Jeff? This is the point of the meeting where retiring directors can say a few words, and today we will hear from Jeff McCallum. Jeff?
Good morning, everyone. I'll be short and sweet, but I do appreciate the last 3 years that you guys have given me the opportunity to represent you on the board of directors. And as the last 3 years have been interesting, I have taken the chance at this point in time to reflect and take my efforts and think a little bit more at home for now, so I didn't run. But I do appreciate the last 2 years I've had and the 9 years I had serving Libro, and you will see me around in the future, I'm sure. Libro's values remain strong, and I remain a large supporter of Libro going forward as well. So thank you for your time and the experiences. Have a great one.
And I'm sure that that was not an idle threat, that we will see Jeff around a lot more. Next, we'll hear from Mike Schmidt and Janet Johnson, who's going to be delivering the management report on operations. Mike?
Thank you, Jackie. A wonderful AGM as always, and I'm particularly pleased to see the amended bylaw pass for the change to M shares. Quite confident that will make Libro even more accessible for those who wish to join. Good morning. I'm excited to be here today, and along with Janet, to share with all of you some important updates about Libro's operations in 2022. I'm our EVP of Brand and Digital Delivery. Usually at this point in the annual general meeting, you would be hearing from Carol Normando as EVP of Advice and Service. But of course, Carol is speaking today as our CEO, and I'm pleased to share the report on operations as it touches on a number of areas I'm lucky enough to support staff teams across Libro in delivering. I want to start off by putting a plug in for each of you to read our newly launched year in review document that is part of the package provided. And I encourage each of you to share it with family, friends, co-workers, and people in the community who could use an uplifting report about an organization that is truly different, working hard to make a difference. The theme of the report is strength to strength, as Jackie noted. And my remarks today are going to start by sharing the key investments to build and maintain that strength, some of the results we have achieved, and finish by reinforcing that at Libro, people matter. So let's start with the key investments we made in 2022 to strengthen our operations. Investments in digital. Building from what we previously shared and moving closer to a digital-first, coaching everywhere organization. Why is it crucial? Because owners increasingly expect it, and they're right to expect it, with new technology everywhere, affecting our lives in profound ways every day. We have been investing in our mobile and desktop online banking experience for many years. And this last year has again included a series of exciting milestones, and we're proud of every single one of these achievements. We made it more convenient to join Libro online, introducing online account opening for businesses, where in a short number of clicks, they can work through an onboarding process and join the over 10,000 business owners that currently enjoy banking with Libro today. We have started testing Judy AI, a like-minded tech company who supports small business owners in applying for lending needs up to $250,000 through an online platform. The plan is to make it easier for businesses to join Libro. We are expanding our work with Interval, the automated valuation software tool that allows business owners help in building a healthier, more valuable business. Local business owners have and continue to be a critical part of the success of our economy, of our communities, and of Libro. And we're excited to continue supporting them through these new digital products and services. We upgraded our Interact e-transfer payments platform, one of the most frequently used and trusted payment methods for our owners, giving it a refreshed look and better functionality. We revamped Libro.ca, Ensuring users with accessibility needs were front and center in our thinking. And there is Yuли. We are especially proud of this one. In October 2022, Yuli went live in the Apple and Google Play stores. By midway through January, we already had close to 3,000 people enrolled in Yuli, helping us to understand their needs and supporting continuous improvement of the app. We're adding more and more people all the time. And right now, you can go on and join at libro.ca/Yuli. Go ahead and do that now. Get your phones out. You can do that now. You can look at your phone while I'm speaking, but I'm going to tell you it better be the Yuli app that you're pulling up. Yuli is the companion to our online banking app. It's a user-friendly way to manage money, create a budget, and monitor your financial wellness. It will help you track your behavior and nudge you towards good choices, all while giving you a financial health score to help you understand how you're doing. It is, if we can say so ourselves, extremely cool. Yuli is a real success story at Libro, and not just because it's supporting thousands of owners in reaching their goals. It's also been the focus of our first Agile squad, with that squad choosing to focus on the development and external launch of Yuli in 2022. With a dedicated focus of a team of staff, we expect Yuli improvements will continue in 2023 and beyond. Shortly, we expect you'll be able to link seamlessly back and forth from your Libro app and the Yuli app. And for our business owners, that same team is working on seamless transition for the Interval product. Many of the tools and systems that I have shared above allow our owners greater access to payment tools, lending applications, data insights, easier ways to become an owner, all centered around digitizing how we interact with and service owners today. This is a future in which owners control their own financial data and, with help from Libro, understand what they need to do to reach their goals. We are committed to ensuring that financial coaching remains at the center of how we are different. We are moving closer and closer towards a time when a complete financial picture is available to owners and coaches to support the deep, rich conversations about financial resilience and to power those self-serve tools at the same time. In 2022, more owners booked appointments with our coaches using our online coach calendar tool. In 2022, more owners booked video coaching appointments connecting to their coach from the comfort of their home, their office at lunch, the local cafe, hopefully not while driving, of course, but you get the point. This is all in the spirit of building digital-first coaching everywhere. Let me mention 4 other key investments we have been making to support our operations. You heard me mention earlier on an investment into agile ways of working. With tremendous success from our first Agile squad launched in 2022, we're in the process of launching 3 additional squads. That's cross-functional, autonomous teams empowered to solve problems and achieve success in our work dedicated to a specific area. Guided by feedback and data, they deliver value to both owners and staff. These 4 Agile squads will be focused on improving the experiences of new owner onboarding, personal lending, coaching insights, and coach connections. The one I mentioned earlier in the presentation is focused on coaching insights, all for providing seamless owner service for what our owners have come to expect from us. Investments in our staff experience, training, and culture. We work hard to attract the best talent with a total rewards program and staff experience that is unique in the financial sector. Being a Libro staff has always been sought after by top candidates with aligned values. And we are building that with the positive culture you see reflected in the storytelling of the annual report. We are inclusive and welcoming. We're investing in staff. In 2022, investment in staff training was $1.67 million, the largest it has ever been. Libro is the place to work, and we ask you to say that to the best and brightest in your communities so we can continue recruiting them. Investments in new locations that officially opened this past year in London downtown on Richmond and our London South location on Wellington, proving that we'll continue to maintain the places where owners can meet and interact in person. Investments in community partnerships that support our pillars. We hosted 12 webinars and worked hard behind the scenes to launch our own podcast dedicated to financial resilience. We continued our community partnerships and started new ones related to housing affordability, employment, and food accessibility. Check out our year in review to see all the investments in our pillars, digital tools, staff, and more. Now let me mention just a few of the operational results that we are proud of. Owner satisfaction scores are part of our key corporate metrics. We achieved a tremendous rating of 4.36 out of 5 for this year, a result that we have been able to post consistently year over year. Our owner satisfaction survey results also show strong overall ratings for digital banking at 4.5 out of 5, including a positive net promoter score, which suggests that our owners who use Libro's digital banking are willing to recommend Libro based on our desktop and mobile experience. It was a strong year for new owners joining Libro in 2022. We welcomed over 7,500 new owners this past year. Our overall ownership grew to more than 113,000 people, more experiencing the Libro difference and aligning their values with a purpose-based organization. This past month, we welcomed over 900 new owners to Libro. That's a record in any month for organic growth for our organization. Over the past couple of years, we have collected hundreds of surveys from individuals joining Libro to gather feedback on how we make the experience better. The ratings we received are well above industry standard for willingness to recommend Libro and the ease of use for the onboarding process. Again, a reason for everybody in the room and online to nudge those around you who are not owners to join us. This past year, we asked our owners for stories about their experience with receiving coaching at Libro. We hope to gather 75 or so stories through that process, and we were overwhelmed with over 500 stories telling us about the wonderful ways that their coach went above and beyond. That is the message that we're eager to share. That is why so many people are joining Libro. That is why our satisfaction results are so strong. The positive comments we receive online and in person, we take the time to make a difference. Which leads me to my final point and our true difference. At Libro, people matter. I want to pause here and take a moment to thank everyone at Libro who's involved in this important work. We're all part of the owner service chain, dedicated to owner service, and we've all worked through times of great change and challenge over the past couple of years. And we can see it paying off in a lot of ways. And we're grateful to everyone for their hard work. At Libro Credit Union, we treat people like people. I can tell you that's never going to change. Our approach will always be centered on people, however they choose to connect with us. Whether they choose to connect with us in person, through video coaching, through their mobile device, through desktop, right here in this room, however that may be, people matter. Thanks so much for listening to the report on operations. I'm now going to hand it over to Janet Johnson, who's going to share more. And Janet's really good at sharing our financial operations, and I always really enjoy listening to her talk about this. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike. Really appreciate that, and happy to see all of you today. Overall, 2020 was a very solid financial year for Libro, so happy to be here today to share some good news. So on the slide here, you'll see the virtuous circle. And I really love this picture because, to me, it captures the spirit of Libro's purpose and the cooperative nature of credit unions. First, owners entrust their money to us in the form of deposits, which is a privilege and a responsibility that we don't take lightly. As a cooperative, we then invest that money in the people, businesses, and organizations in the communities we serve. And at the end of the year, we share a portion of our profits with our owners, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a few slides. So let's talk about growth. Libro ended 2022, you can see the pretty picture here, with loans of over $5 billion and deposits at $4.9 billion. So pretty close together, but we got there kind of in an interesting path over the last few years. In 2019, Libro's deposits and loans were of equal amounts. And when the pandemic arrived in 2020, the pace of deposit growth exceeded loan growth as more owners saved and pandemic supports were put in place. In 2021, Libro had strong growth on both sides of our balance sheet, a little bit stronger on the loan side. You can see the green line's a little bit steeper. And finally, in 2022, we continued to see strong loan growth of $601 million, or 13%. However, deposit growth was more flat. Libro also has $1.4 billion in off-balance sheet assets, which include wealth assets such as mutual funds and loans that we administer. In 2022, Libro saw owners increase their wealth holdings with Libro by $50 million. Combining these on and off balance sheet assets, Libro ended the year surpassing the $7 billion mark in assets under management, a significant milestone and something that we should all celebrate. It's a big one. Yeah, do it. Let's have some clapping in the financial results section. Interesting. It's new. Okay. This chart also really helps when we talk about liquidity. And so in general, when we see deposit growth that's higher than loan growth, our liquidity will go up. And if deposit growth is lower than loan growth, then our liquidity goes down. So again, as you saw in that graph, the deposits were significantly higher than loans through the pandemic. And so Libro started 2022 with significant excess liquidity of over 16%. And as loan growth accelerated through this past year and the pace of deposit growth slowed, our liquidity returned to normal levels at the end of 2022 at 9.57%. As we stand here today, liquidity is currently sitting above 10% and within Libro's target range of 9 to 11% and in compliance with all regulatory requirements. Now moving on to profitability. We ended the year with net income before profit sharing and taxes of $56 million compared to $25.4 million in the prior year. Fortunately, this year, our total net income position was helped by a few significant one-time gains that totaled almost $17.5 million. So let's look a little bit closer at what made up our income this year. Net interest income increased $19.1 million over prior year. Over 80% of our revenue comes from net interest income, which is the money that Libro earns on loans, less the money we pay on deposits. The margin was positively impacted in 2022 by the strong loan growth that we just talked about, as well as interest rate increases that happened in the year that were sooner, faster, and bigger than expected. In the first quarter of 2023, we have started to see the margin narrow with the higher deposit rates that we're currently experiencing. Interest paid on investment shares increased from $4.6 million in 2021 to $9.4 million in 2022 as we paid a higher dividend rate on our investment shares, including the new Series 6 shares issued during the year. Non-interest income was $40.7 million, up $13.8 million from the prior year. Of that $40.7 million, $16.4 million relates to the gain on the mark-to-market valuation of our interest rate swap agreements. We recognized a gain of about $5 million on those same agreements in 2021. The next item to highlight on our operating results is our provision of credit losses, which was actually in a recovery position of $1.8 million in 2022. We use a model that's required by accounting rules to estimate our allowance for expected credit losses, and that decreased by $4.3 million to end the year at $10.4 million. In 2022, delinquency remained very low, and we had loan write-offs of $2.6 million. Given the current environment that we're in, we are seeing more owners experiencing challenges and expect that our provision for credit losses will return to an expense position in 2023. Other operating expenses were $111.3 million, of which $72.8 million relates to Libro's investment in staff. This increased 7% year over year. Other areas where expenses notably increased from the prior year were insurance expense, which was up 14%, and systems and technology expense, which were up 18% over the prior year, and in line with budget as we invest in the digital delivery strategy that Mike was just speaking about. I also want to say a few words about capital, which is made up of our shares and retained earnings generated through our net income. You probably heard me talk about capital last year, and I like to say that it's sort of like the foundation of a house, and we need a strong foundation to support our growth. And to help make sure that the financial system is stable, Canadian regulators require that all financial institutions have a certain amount of capital relative to their assets to be able to weather the challenges that come our way. Libro ended the year with a strong capital base of $541.2 million and a total capital ratio of over 14%, in compliance with all internal and regulatory requirements. This is in very large part due to the success of the Series 6 investment share offering that raised $96.8 million of investment shares in July 2022. We can't say thank you enough to all of those involved. It was a lot of work across all of Libro, and certainly to all of our owners who contributed. The profitability that we just spoke about is also an important contributor to our capital position in the form of Libro's retained earnings. Retained earnings over risk-weighted assets is a new ratio that FSRA is monitoring as part of the new capital adequacy rules that came into effect in 2022. This means that our capital base must be generated through retained earnings, and we must operate in a sustainable way over time. Our retained earnings ratio at year-end was 5.55%, compared to a regulatory minimum of 3%. This is a metric that can be impacted by some of those valuation gains and losses that I was just speaking about, and is not necessarily easy to fix quickly. So it is one where we want to maintain a solid buffer over the minimum. And I want to return to the virtuous circle again. We are very happy to share that we've distributed $19.6 million to our owners. We distributed $9.2 million in investment share dividends at a dividend rate of 5.15%. Given the addition of Series 6 and the competitive rate being paid, this is a significant increase from last year's dividend distribution of $4.6 million, which I mentioned earlier. We also distributed $514,000 in profit-sharing dividends and $9.9 million in profit-sharing distributions. We have moved to a target distribution rate of $1 per 1,000 of loans and deposits to help preserve retained earnings in light of the new retained earnings ratio that I just spoke about. And that's it for the financial results, my formal presentation. And now I'm going to go rogue and answer a couple of questions, if that's okay, Jackie. Okay. So the first question, this is fun hijacking this, okay. And I apologize because I didn't catch your name, but a really great question about the management of risk. And it is a really important thing for financial institutions to do, and certainly with the economy the way it is, and a lot of happenings in the news, very prevalent. And I know a few specifics were mentioned in the question, including exposure to a particular industry, a poultry farm, reference to the challenges in the US, as well as interest rates. So there are a lot of things that we do at Libro to make sure that we're managing all types of risk and a lot of financial risks. So we very closely monitor capital, liquidity, profitability, credit risk, interest rate risk. We monitor many metrics. We report those to FSRA on a regular basis, as well as to the board. And we're currently in compliance with all of those requirements. When it comes to, we also have a number of processes in place, especially around capital adequacy and liquidity adequacy, that include performing stress tests. So when it comes to concerns like concentration, we would be, first of all, we have some concentration limits. So we won't, we have some limits of how far we would lend to a particular industry or type of loan to try to manage that exposure or risk to a particular event. We also stress test particular exposures to different concentrations of different industries as part of our capital adequacy assessment process. When we look at SVB and what happened in the United States, there's a number of really important differences between Libro and the situation in the United States. One relates to concentration, actually. SVB was very concentrated in one particular industry, where Libro has a very well-diversified loan or lending and deposit base. So that is one important piece to reflect that. We also do manage in the SVB instance, there was some missteps made in managing their balance sheet and interest rate exposure. And so that is different. The duration of our investments is much shorter than theirs, so our exposure to those fair value fluctuations is less. I'll talk a little bit about interest rate risk, and there was actually another question that was submitted online, so now I'm really hijacking things. And want to thank Mohammed Abu Rashad, and apologies if I mispronounced your name. But the question that was submitted was, how do you expect the change in interest rates up or down to impact Libro's operations? And so thought this would be a good time to speak to that as well, because interest rate risk is another one of the risks that we monitor very closely. And certainly the last few years have been seen a lot of volatility. We've seen in 2020 the interest rates fell very quickly, and this past year they went up quite dramatically as well. And so we, on a monthly basis, actually monitor this and do, again, analysis to show what our exposure is on our margin if there were to be an interest rate shock up or down of 1 or 2%. And at this point, we have fairly low sensitivity to changes in rates, definitely well within all of our risk tolerances. Of course, as rates go up, that will have, if they were to continue to go up, and as they have already gone up, that does have an impact on the broader economy, and Libro's results are very impacted, I would say, by those changes in rates. So some of the things that we are already starting to see in Q1, of course, are a slowing of loan growth, and also I mentioned, the recovery position of our provision for credit losses, and the expectation that in 2023 that will return to an expense provision. And we will also see in 2023 some of that tightening of our interest rate margin. One thing I can assure you is that no matter what happens with interest rates, we are always monitoring them very closely. We're looking ahead and stress testing. And as those interest rate changes impact our owners, we're committed to, making sure that we're working through each situation with our owners to support them during this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike and Janet. Are there any other questions for Janet? Because she did such a fabulous job answering those. Yes, on the mic over here.
Hi, Rick Martins from the Kitchener-Waterloo area. I'm
Yes,
in the
Rick.
home building business, and most recently now with sort of catching up after COVID and getting homes done and transitioning them to home ownership, which is kind of the goal in the area, and it's kind of what we're all working on. What we're finding is more and more purchasers are not closing on time and having to work through solutions, adding people to mortgages, because the burden, they purchased a year ago or a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, and that sort of changed. So my question, I know you said you're going to be working with homeowners or with our Libro owners as they go forward. Are there any restrictions, like how creative can you get, and what are we going to do to ensure that prosperity is there for our homeowners going forward, i.e., during COVID, there was breaks that were given in the sense of, interest payments only. Are you still allowed to do that even though COVID's now over? But with this interest rate change, again, a lot of people are in the 2-3% mortgages, and they've got 600,000, 700,000 mortgages that are now going to be renewing at the 5%. And what are you able to do, and are there any restrictions? That's my question, sort of in general.
So to repeat the question is just around, given the challenges that are facing our owners, given the rate environment, what can we do? I think I would say that there are, we really do treat those on a case-by-case basis. There still is that ability to, as required, we would consider adjustments that can be made to the payments, extension of the amortization, things like that. And so there are possibilities. Of course, we want to do everything that we possibly can to help owners, and then also have to balance that with the risk to the collective ownership as well, in terms of making sure that we're managing the overall risk. But those opportunities to talk through those solutions with coaches is there.
Any other questions? So not right now for online. Thank you very much, Janet. Okay. Oh, so we have another one. Thanks.
I'm not sure whether this might also be a question for Michael Smith, but you talked about the risk to Libro with avian flu, but what about the risk to the owner? Can you help them survive?
Okay.
And the other for Michael is with online coaching or video coaching. Est-ce qu'on peut demander un entretien en français, par exemple? Or maybe Ukrainian? I see a lot of opportunity for diversity here.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Are you able to address those?
Do you want to respond to the first one, or is that what you're?
I was going to respond to the first one.
Sure. I'll let Carol respond to the first one.
Thank you. So, I mean, if you look at all the roots of Libro, we have a long history of working with our owners through disruption, through challenge, through change. And I would say to you, that is in our culture, that's in our DNA, that won't change. I would refer back to what Janet said, that we do need to look at things on a case-by-case basis and recognize that different things happen in different sectors and different regions, and we're still committed to do that.
Thanks, Carol. On your second question, just in terms of as we move into digital tools, digital coaching, et cetera, I think that, as you mentioned really well, the question is around inclusivity. I think I mentioned in remarks, we're welcoming, we're inclusive, and we have done work over the past year. At the AGM last year, actually, a really great question about newcomers to Canada, and what is Libro doing to support newcomers coming to Canada and looking for banking arrangements. So. Today, we do not serve in multiple languages. We do provide, we do have a host of staff who speak different languages that we keep a repository of and provide access to, including, French and a number of different languages. So we do our best to create those connections. I think, to your point, we can do a better job in our digital tools on our website of creating those opportunities. There is a newcomers to Canada page that we've recently launched this past year, which helps people with language around banking, around opportunities to connect, where they would get support services, that I think speaks a little bit to that inclusivity. Beyond that, I think just in general, our coaching model, and what I talked a little bit about with People Matter, it does have to do with sitting down with those individuals through conversations. What do they need? But we need to start with getting connected to them. So. I'll take that under advisement as we look at our digital tools at our website about how we might better do that, and thank you for the question.
Yes.
I have a question on that, and I bring this up regularly, and we talk about DEI, and that's fantastic. I'm Allison from Waterloo, by the way. Yes, we need to connect with those people. And we always hear that, and I love the gender equity and division that we have within Libro, but what are we doing to connect with people in these lower, maybe economic areas? And I love that we've lowered the M-share amount, but what are we doing in our communities? Where are we going? What events are we going to? From the top down, what does that look like? Because I am a proud Libro owner, and I have been for years, and I'm the chair of the Waterloo Council, and I love that. And I would gladly step aside if there is somebody from another culture who could bring a different voice, perspective to what we have here. There's a lot of white people in the room. And that's not lost on me, and it shouldn't be lost on everybody else. And I know we talk about doing stuff, but what are we doing?
So, Alison, thank you very much for your question. It certainly is one that we're very concerned about. I had the privilege of attending the November 11th staff day here at the Convention Centre. And you're absolutely right. In this room, we probably don't show as much diversity as we need to. However, if you look at the room that where the staff were represented, our diversity is much more fulsome and much more developed. And so what we're doing is we're starting to report on it, and we're starting to ensure that we are open and transparent with where we're at from this perspective. I do encourage that the staff in their diversity are connecting a little bit better with our communities, and hopefully that will continue as we get deeper into those conversations. Obviously, for the last 2 years, there's been very little outreach in the community visible, but it certainly is there. Carol, would you like to add anything? Or oh, sorry, boo, you're sneaking up.
Yeah, and where did you go? Oh, sat down.
She sat down.
Thank you so much. Oh, hello. Thank you. No. Yeah, I wanted to add to that, and first just thank you for the question, for the courageous question. Thank you for calling that out. There's certainly, just to add to what Jackie said, a lot going on already, and we are really focusing on building that culture of inclusivity, and to your point, that includes the diversity across a number of spectrums, the diversity that you see and diversity that you don't see across Libro. So certainly a lot going on as we came to regional councils this year, and as we continue to come to councils. You can expect to hear more on this. We partnered with Diverse Solutions this year and are excited because we have some of those draft reports and recommendations coming back. We did survey both internal and external stakeholders to get a better understanding of where we need to continue to push. That included one-on-ones. It included a review of all of our policies and programs in terms of how we recruit, in terms of how we express ourselves from language. If I can step gracefully into your comment, I am a white heterosexual male, and there's an incredible amount of privilege in that statement, whether I address it or not, whether I see it or not. We have a tremendous culture at this credit union, and it's also been built from fewer lenses. And so the work in front of us, while it's not prescriptive, is to widen that lens and include all of the lenses that haven't been heard or seen. So lots of work underway there. You also talked about how do we serve individuals who are maybe underrepresented, equity-deserving groups. So just a couple of comments there. We do look to increase the number of financial literacy offerings that we do each year. We have a wonderful offering called Each One Teach One. Over the past, I would say, 4 years, we've done on average anywhere from 20 to 40 impacted by COVID as we went virtual for a number of sessions. We now have over 50 trained facilitators who are able to deliver unbiased financial resiliency and financial training to individuals, newcomers, individuals learning about budgeting and coaching for the first time. So wonderful question, and yes, you deserve to see more, and you can hold us to that.
And Andre would like to.
Hey everyone, I'm Andre Pavin-Vachiste, board member, first term, been with Libro since 2015, engaged. And so when you asked me the question, I felt like you were looking at me. I was like, is she asking me this question? Because I am a person of color, I have a half South Asian, and so when we ask these questions, it's also important for people that you're talking about to be having a voice on that question, right? So it's not enough for me to see people who are not representative of me speaking on my behalf. So that's why I wanted to come up here to, as Janet said, Janet said, had to hijack, just to say that, okay, maybe I am the first person of color on this board. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what they've said to me. So I have a responsibility from the top-down approach to bring that perspective and to encourage others to join that work. It's not easy kind of being that person at the board at times. And you asked about a top-down approach. I know the team's doing well. You hear all the great remarks, all the great work. We're working on the journey, but I could definitely use some support. So if others want to join that have a different perspectives to join this work, I think it could benefit from a top-down approach. Yes, the staff members represent our diversity, but at the board level, we don't have that yet. And I would like to see more of that because it's hard sometimes to be the only one that's have a certain perspective, and we need different perspectives. I don't represent everybody. I only have me. There's many more perspectives at the table. So I just wanted to speak on that because I think it's important whenever we make mention of, let's say, diversity, that the folks that are diverse have a chance to speak on that topic as well. Thank you.
Any other questions specifically on the management report?
I think there's one more that came in online. We had a question come in online, and the question was, what are we doing to attract sort of that Gen Z population? And so, that would be, say the younger population. I think it's kind of late 90s to say 2012, 2013 is sort of that. And I think the basis of the question, I think really is, as we look at growing Libro Credit Union, it's important that we're continuing to attract a younger demographic into the credit union system, understanding the cooperative model, understanding the difference of the credit union system. So I really like the question, and it is obviously a very specific focus area for Libro Credit Union. We look at market segments as areas that we see in value-aligned groups of people that we see opportunities to grow our owner base with. And so we very specifically track and report and look at ways in which we do that. So just a few ways I'll mention off the top. Obviously, a lot of what you may have seen from Libro in terms of our marketing over the years has shifted gears from being more traditional based, whether it was print or radio or TV, to far more digital marketing and social media based, which in large part is I think when you're looking at Gen Z, where a number of that target group would be consuming their information. Also, I talked about a whole host of digital tools. When we talk about video coaching, when we talk about Yuli, when we talk about these various products or services enhancing the payments type ways that a Gen Z would use their digital devices, that's all in the efforts of showing the digital transformation. So I think overall that digital first coaching everywhere, the feedback we get and the results we get show that that's what really resonates with the younger demographic. They are looking to connect on mobile devices from the comfort of their home, and we're making tremendous amounts of investments. The couple other things I'll mention, just if you can look at our latest podcast that was launched in the podcast store. Again, we're finding audiences tuning into podcasts, webinars, and so on. So I love the question, and again, I think that basis of the question being, as we look to grow Libro Credit Union, we need to do so, with a younger demographic that understands our difference. So, thank you.
I'm hesitant to ask. We're good? Okay, perfect. Now I'd like to call upon Mary Catherine Cush, who's the chair of our Audit and Finance Committee, to present her report and the related items that are included in the agenda, item number 10. These are required. Sorry. That's okay. I've been hijacked more than once today. These are required reports, and we will be presenting the owner representatives with an omnibus bill motion following their presentation. Mary Catherine?
Good afternoon. It is great to be here and see so many of you in person. But before I get started, I want to say how sorry I am that the staff had to experience such a violent event at the Arkona branch. I'm thinking about you and praying for you. You will find a written version of the report of the Audit and Finance Committee on pages 20 to 22 of the AGM workbook. I will share some highlights of our work. We were the primary point of contact with the external auditors reviewing the scope, plans, and results of the 2022 financial statement audit. We reviewed in detail the financial statements that we will get to in a few minutes. The committee manages the audit manager, who leads the internal audit function. The audit manager shares plans, reports, and significant findings with the committee, and we are satisfied that the internal audit function has the appropriate independence and objectivity. We regularly review and obtain assurances that Libro has internal controls and risk mitigating strategies in place to safeguard our assets, ensure accurate financial reports, and compliance with policies and procedures. We assess the adequacy of staff to fill the accounting and financial responsibilities. Looking at our regulatory environment, the committee offered guidance to management on the recovery plan submitted to our regulatory earlier this year, reviewed policies related to legislative and regulatory compliance with particular emphasis on alignment with the new Act, regulations, and rules, and received updates on contacts with the regulator, examination results, action plans developed to address the examination results. As part of our regular activity, we received educational presentations, reviewed and recommended the annual operating budget and related plans, provided oversight of the pension fund filings and financial statements, and reviewed asset liability management reporting. On behalf of the Audit and Finance Committee, I'm pleased to report that we continue to meet the requirements of our mandate in accordance with the Act and regulations. We receive full cooperation from management that allows us to play an effective role in improving the quality of financial reporting and enhancing the risk management and control structure. There are no significant recommendations made by the committee that have not been implemented, and there are no matters that we believe should be reported or disclosed to you, the owners. That concludes our report. Are there any questions on the Audit and Finance Committee report? Okay. At the annual general meeting last year, you appointed Ernst & Young as your external auditors for the 2022 fiscal year. Andrea Fedema and Colin Yos, anyways, on behalf of Ernst & Young, will present the report of the external auditors. I'm sorry, Colin.
Thank you, Mary Catherine, and good afternoon, everyone. For those of you I haven't met, my name is Andrea Fedema, and I'm an audit partner at EY, EY Canada's national credit union sector leader, and most importantly, one of your EY partners, something I'm so proud of. Last year, our report was delivered by your EY tax partner, Luda Pradeshak-Pitt, who is joined by your EY audit manager, Omar El-Khatib. As I was unable to attend the meeting in person because I was with my daughter, Grace, who is undergoing treatment for childhood cancer. I'm so grateful to report that Grace is doing very well today and in remission, and I am thrilled to be able to be here with you today. In the spirit of continuing to introduce you to other members of the EY team serving Libro, joining me today is your audit associate partner, Colin Yausi, who will be giving our formal report. Before I pass it over to Colin, I wanted to take a moment and the brief opportunity to congratulate Steve and Tanya on their retirement. It has been a pleasure working with you both over the years, and on behalf of the entire EY team, I want to wish you all the best as you embark on this next chapter. I'll now pass it over to Colin to present our report.
Great. Thank you, Andrea. It's my pleasure to be here on behalf of EY to report on the results of the annual external audit performed by EY. As Mary Catherine mentioned, we met with the Audit and Finance Committee during the year regarding the terms, scope, and results of the audit. I'm pleased to report that we continued to receive outstanding cooperation from Libro staff and management throughout the audit. I would like to take the opportunity to express our thanks to the staff, management, and directors for their support in this important process that allows us to report on the financial statements to the owners today. Our report is included on pages 105 and 106 of the AGM workbook. As you know, management is responsible for the preparation of the financial statements, and EY's responsibility is to express an opinion on the financial statements based on our audit. Consistent with prior years, we performed our audit in accordance with Canadian generally accepted auditing standards. As you can see in the opinion paragraph at the top of our report, we have found that the financial statements of Libro Credit Union for the year ended December 31st, 2022 are presented fairly. Congratulations to all on another successful and inspiring year. It has been our pleasure to serve you in performing our audit. Madam Chairperson, that concludes our report.
Thank you, Colleen. Okay, Colin. I have a staff member that's called Colleen, and Andrea, sorry. Copies of the financial statements are included in the AGM workbook. The financial statements are referenced in the Statement of Management's Responsibilities for Financial Reporting on page 104, the External Auditor's Report on pages 105 and 106, and the formal statements on pages 107 to 110, plus the notes to these financial statements on pages 111 to 154 inclusive. The Audit and Finance Committee reviewed these statements in detail at our meeting on February the 28th. We really appreciated the videos Janet Johnson created to give us, the board, and the owner representatives an overview of the financial statements and notes. We had the opportunity to speak with the representatives from Ernst & Young and with Libro management before recommending approval of the financial statements to the board at their meeting the week following. On behalf of the Board of Directors and its Audit and Finance Committee, I hereby formally submit those financial statements to this meeting. Are there any questions on the financial statements? Okay, moving on. Next, I will present the board's recommendation for the appointment of external auditors. Each year, the Audit and Finance Committee reviews the work of our external auditors to ensure we are satisfied with our relationship. At least every 5 years, we complete a more comprehensive review that may include a request for proposal. The last comprehensive review was completed in 2021, and based on Ernst & Young's continuing to meet expectations, the committee recommends retaining their services. We provided advance notice to you in Note 5 to the agenda and in our written report that the Board of Directors is presenting Ernst & Young for their appointment as external auditors by you at this meeting. On behalf of the Board of Directors and its Audit and Finance Committee, I hereby formally present and recommend that you appoint the firm of Ernst & Young LLP as external auditors to Libro for the 2023 fiscal year.
Thanks, Mary Catherine. Now we come to that omnibus motion that we spoke of earlier. And in a moment, we're going to open up the voting for owner representatives to vote on the following: the acceptance of the report of the Audit and Finance Committee as printed and presented, the adoption of the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2022, which includes the report of the external auditor, and third, the appointment of the firm Ernst & Young as external auditor for Libro Credit Union for the year ended December 31st, 2023. The motion will appear on your voting screen where you will vote in favor or against the motion. Before we open up the vote, are there any questions on these agenda items? Seeing none, then we'll ask for the vote to be open. Remember that your selection will stay on the screen until we close the voting. We'll pause for a few minutes so the owner representatives can vote. We are going to close the voting in 3, 2, 1. The voting is now closed. We have 100% of votes cast in favor of that omnibus motion. Thank you. Our next agenda item is the report of our President and CEO, Carol Normando.
Thanks, Jackie. Good afternoon. It's now me between you and lunch and following a robust Q&A session. No pressure here. The first topic I want to address today is an important one, so I'm going to go about it straight. I want to talk about our location in Arkona and the Libro Arkona team. I'm sure you have heard, or perhaps you've seen reported in the media, there was a robbery at our Arkona location on April 4th. Although there was no physical injuries to any of our staff, it was a very traumatic experience for them. I want to recognize that and to share it with you all here today. I hope you understand I won't talk about the details of the robbery now, out of respect for our colleagues and to support the OPP who continue to investigate. I'm going to focus on what's important, the Libro team in Arkona. Our people there have been foremost in the thoughts of everyone at Libro since we heard about this incident. It's difficult to put feelings into words here. Our hearts go out to our colleagues, and we want them all to know we are here for them. I know I'm saying with absolute confidence on behalf of everyone at Libro, we've had an outpouring of emotions over the last 11 days, and we have all come together in the sincere wish to support our colleagues. That's true of our owner representatives and owners too. We've had people just calling in to tell us they're sorry to hear about the robbery and hope everyone is okay. Let me just make a point here. I'm talking about banking customers who feel so connected to their financial institution that they would pick up a phone and make a call to say they care. Thank you, thank you. We are so grateful for your good wishes and offers of support. Please know they have made a difference. And on supports for staff, we are doing all that we can, providing enhanced supports with help from agencies and our employee assistance program, and we will continue supporting our people in Arkona because we are Libro and it is in our DNA. So, as I'm sure you can appreciate, it's been a very difficult time for the team in Arkona and in other ways for everyone who works at Libro. Even as we continue to provide the best possible service to owners across the region, including in Arkona. And we will continue to provide the best possible owner service every time. As you may know, starting Monday, we will temporarily shift our Kona branch operations to our existing satellite location in Forest. Due to a number of needs related to the events of April 4th, we will be using our satellite location in our first step to resume services. This location has been linked to the main branch in Arkona for many years and provides the facilities and equipment to help staff assist owners with their financial needs. We are satisfied and relieved to be able to welcome owners in that community again. Thank you for being there. Thank you for being Libro. I'm now going to move on to the speech that you might have expected me to give today. I have lots to share about the year we've had and many people to thank. As you know, I am the interim CEO and I hand over the reins on May 1st. It's my role to provide stability and continuity of leadership between the tenures of two permanent CEOs. It is a great honor to be chosen by the board to fill this important role before I continue on as Executive Vice President, Advice and Service. For me, the last few weeks have been a time of personal growth, new challenges, and constant gratitude for this amazing organization and our Libro team who face each day with courage, strength, and resilience. While my time is short, it is a privilege to lead Libro. Now let's move on to something that's important. I have some thank yous. It takes a great deal of work to put this event together, and we're very grateful to everyone who makes it happen, especially Libro's busy governance team, who support our leadership team so well in making all parts of the AGM come together. Thank you, Janet, Kathleen, Steve, and all those who made this day possible. Earlier today, we heard wonderful tributes to our two recently retired executives. Along with Steve, that of course includes Tanya Goodine. I can't let this occasion pass without adding my own comments about these two inspirational people who have each had a major impact on Libro. First, Tanya. As we have heard from so many people, as we mark Tanya's retirement, she is someone who has made us all better. Our former CFO, Rick Huvenars, at Tanya's celebration dinner, spoke for all of us when he said, "We've achieved higher levels of success in our careers because of our relationship with Tanya." As a person who has led our name change from St. Willibrord's to Libro, as our head of strategy and innovation, and a long-standing inspirational mentor to many, Tanya has left a lasting legacy at Libro. She is a principled, value-based leader with intelligence and wisdom that has made us better every day. Tanya, Thank you. And Steve, we know you're still watching. It's hard to know what to say to someone who has been my coach for so long, and our CEO for an amazing 11 years of growth and profit, all to make an impact on people and communities. This is a leader who has always been authentic and approachable, always 100% engaged in the moment and in making Libro better. We admire Steve's passion and creativity, which, paired with his thoughtful approach to business, have set him apart from others throughout his career. Steve has had a tremendous impact on Libro and on all of us, leaving us stronger, better, wiser, and ready for whatever comes next. There's just not enough words to cover this, so I'll end with the feeling that we have in all of our hearts. Thank you, Steve. We wish both of our retiring executives every success in whatever they do next, and I'm sure they will stay part of Libro, and we will see them often. As we say goodbye to one CEO, we are preparing to welcome another. On May 1st, as you know, Sean Good will join Libro as our president, CEO, and head coach. Sean will join us from SAS Central, the liquidity management organization for credit unions in Saskatchewan, where he's completing the last of his work in a challenging role before joining Libro for the next chapter. I know Sean is looking forward to meeting with our owner representatives and learning about the important work you do as part of our unique governance structure. We're excited to welcome Sean, an inspirational leader committed to leadership-based values, and we know he shares values with Libro, where we act to make a difference for owners, communities, and the marketplace. That's part of why we feel so confident in this transition. Along with our excellent track record on succession planning and the strength of our existing leadership team, we know we are gaining a CEO who is a great fit for Libro, and it's exciting to think where he might lead us. Yes, it is change, and at Libro, we're accustomed to change, and we treat it as an opportunity. Change is everywhere, and change is normal. In managing change while making advances, Libro has shown great agility as a company in recent years. That's one of the reasons why the title of our annual report this year is From Strength to Strength. Each year, our credit union becomes stronger, building on the success of previous years and looking to the future. Like everyone else, we've had some eventful years. We can all be proud of what we've achieved in the 2020s by the people who make Libro Credit Union what it is. Don't miss that point. Our credit union is powered by people. Our success and our strength come from the owners who entrust their business to Libro, and we will never tire of saying thank you for banking with us. And we draw our strength from our engaged owner representatives, this group of dedicated people here today and more of you across the service area. Your commitment to Libro keeps our credit union connected with communities and people across southwestern Ontario. Give yourself a hand. And of course, there's the vital work of Libro staff. There's almost 800 of us now, and all part of the owner service chain, and all focused on helping people to prosper. I want to express gratitude to everyone on our Libro team for doing their part to keep the credit union growing, to make an impact on communities and people around us. Of course, we are all aware of the challenges in the wider world. We've now had years of rapid change, and it shows no sign of slowing down. Recently, the financial sector has found itself at the center of the storm. Against a background of volatility and economic challenges, inflation, rising rates, instability in some specialized FIs in the US and Europe, all this and more causing public concern. And we've been watching closely, answering owner questions, and making sure to listen to owners, and especially our owner representatives, who act as our voice in communities and help us to share the message that Libro is a trustworthy, secure institution with an 80-year track record of going from strength to strength. And that strength is real, it's palpable. At events like this, Libro, like the rest of the Canadian credit union system, is a financially secure and stable, This is a well-regulated, Canadian-owned system with more than a century of strength and integrity and resilience. Libro is in a strong financial position with a diversified loan portfolio and a well-capitalized balance sheet. Owners' deposits are insured through the Financial Services Authority of Ontario, and we recognize the value of regulatory oversight in helping our sector to stay strong. And we never forget that you make Libro what it is. Thank you again for trusting Libro with your business. You're the reason we can make a difference in communities because you and people like you are part of Libro. And that makes it a good time to celebrate the success of our recent investment share offering. In 2022, along with growth and other aspects of a very strong financial year for Libro, we had an exciting time with our Series 6 investment shares. We offered this opportunity to invest in Libro, giving our credit union a stronger financial position and helping owners to prosper by giving them competitive returns on their investment. As Janet mentioned, that share offering added a remarkable total of $96.8 million to our credit union's capital base. We've already heard, again, about the importance of capitalization, liquidity, and more, and we know that Libro has a solid foundation. This share offering helps us in our growth plans and, of course, supports us in making the positive community impact that we always keep in mind. This share offering is a perfect example of how people in southwestern Ontario can add to Libro's ability to make a difference. It keeps our credit union moving forward while empowering us as a purpose-led organization, a certified B Corp that uses business only as a force for good, and it's a direct link between our business and community, demonstrating why Libro exists. And the more we do this, the better it gets. And while I'm talking about capital, I also want to touch on today's vote on membership shares. Thank you for supporting this motion for our approach to change. And I want to thank everyone for their engagement in this issue. We know this change will help us in a range of ways, with growth, acquiring new owners, and ensuring we compete well in the marketplace. This is an important step forward for us, and we're all excited about how it will drive new success. I'd now like to refer you to the 2022 annual report, which is part of your meeting package. We're very proud of this report and the stories it tells about how Libro is going from strength to strength. And I'm going to draw out some highlights as I celebrate some more successes here today. Next door to the piece about the investment share offering, you will see content entitled Responsible Investing at Libro. It's on page 10. Here's just one of the many impactful stories we have to tell. Did you know that responsible investing could produce returns like this? Of course you did. You bank with Libro. We're here to prove that you can invest successfully while considering the triple bottom line of people, planet, and profit. It is possible to be one of the good guys and still get a good return on your investment, and we can prove it. Meanwhile, while you're banking with Libro, that means the best possible owner service. As Mike said so well earlier today, that service is table stakes for us. One of the most important ways we can show we are different from the banks is by treating people well. We are passionately accountable. Look at the owner stories in this annual report, and you will see people being treated like people, because this is Libro, and it's about more than numbers. We're in the relationship business, and the relationship comes first, and the financial success follows. And that's true wherever we offer service, in person, online. You've already heard from Mike talking about that, and I want to add my voice here to really drive home the point. Our philosophy of financial coaching underpins everything that we do. And that's true wherever people come to connect with Libro. Through innovations like Yuли, we're working to boost financial resilience of every owner while providing the digital products and services that owners expect in 2020 and beyond. With Yuli, you can keep a pulse on your money and track your progress towards your goals, and it'll give you a financial health score. And coaching is crucial in all of this. Yuli is another tool to support owners and their coaches in the work we do together to make everyone prosper. Meanwhile, over at our contact center, Libro Connect, they're still picking up the phone as quick as grease lightning. This is another spot where alternative methods of coaching are growing. Our call center staff have been doing more and more proactive outreach, reaching out thousands of times as they enhance owner service and support financial coaching. At the same time, they answered more than 100,000 owner calls and electronic messages, picking up the phone in an average of 18 seconds. Just another example of Libro's one team showing dedication to owner service. Wherever people are in the service chain, they are showing their dedication. Libro staff understand that owner service is paramount and that everyone makes a contribution through their role. It's that one team approach that makes it work so well. And part of it is supporting staff properly. Mike touched on our investment in training, and I'm delighted to say the introduction of new programs, such as the Accountable Manager and Sales Leadership Strategies, are providing the foundational knowledge our people leaders and coaches needed, preparing them to lead with confidence and to take on the opportunities of today and tomorrow. Finally, climate change. The rate of disruption isn't slowing, and we have to be ready for more. We know we will support our owners through disruption associated with climate change, and we also know we are on a journey to understand our own emissions, making sure we are part of the work being done to transition to a net zero economy. As page 8 of the working report explains, we are working with partners to gain a better understanding of our operational and financial emissions, and we've begun developing a 7-year roadmap to help Libro achieve a reduction in energy use. We know it's a long road ahead, and I'm glad we're on the right path. I'm coming towards the end of my comments now, and before I close, I'm going to repeat something important. Libro is in a strong financial position with a healthy profit, strong capital base, and good liquidity. We're going from strength to strength, and that's due to owners like you and the business you entrust to Libro. Thank you for that and for helping us make an impact on the communities and people in southwestern Ontario. In closing, I want to make one personal comment. I'm honored to have this opportunity to support staff, our directors, and our Libro owners as interim CEO. And I might add, however brief, to be Libro's first female CEO. We've always found ways to harness diverse strengths and personalities to deliver more as a team than individually. This collective strength is at the heart of Libro and is what I believe keeps us focused on our purpose, the needs of our owners, staff, and communities, and our business goals and objectives. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Does anybody have a question or comment for Carol?
You got it all out with Janet and Mike.
Yep. Okay, great. Thank you, Carol. So that brings us to our open question period. Are there any new topics not already covered during the meeting that oh my gosh, I think I need more to drink, that owner representatives feel that we should be discussing? Okay, any online questions, Janet? Scott has a question.
Here's one from the...
Go ahead.
There we go, almost fell off stage. So this question came from David Jensenius. It's a two-part question on security, which brings me, Scott Ferguson, the EVP of Information Systems, up here to speak on a microphone. The first part is, are we thinking of making our PIN numbers longer for our debit cards? So they're currently 4 digits. The quick answer to that is no. The combination of your 4-digit PIN and your embedded NFC chip, or just call it the chip, provides excellent security. When you're doing in-person transactions with a terminal or sticking your card in and typing your PIN, very secure. Where cards tend to be compromised is when the card is not present at the payment terminal. This happens when you're buying things online or giving up card numbers over the phone. So when you're asked to do that, more commonly with MasterCard or Visa, you give them your full card number, and then you give them those 3 digits on the back of your card. That combination, if it gets learned by the bad guys, is where cards tend to get compromised. So increasing your PIN length isn't going to make a change to that. Now, normally you don't have to worry about that when you're buying from reputable vendors, but occasionally through cybersecurity hacks or things like that, the information gets stolen, and that's usually when you get the phone call about, we need to replace your card, right? So no to longer PINs though, that won't help. Part 2 question is, are we investigating any advanced login methods for online or mobile banking, such as an authenticator app, a universal second factor, or a passkey? And the answer to this question is yes. Not necessarily those methods, but there is a project on our digital roadmap that's planned to start later in 2023 to investigate what's called identity and access management. And those services are what you use to log into online banking or your mobile banking app. We are looking to advance those so that they're always up to what's best industry standard for your security and safety of your account information when you're online.
Thanks, Scott. Question?
I don't have a question, I just have a comment. So I was driving in today, heading south on Richmond Street, and bam, there's that brand new Libro building with that sign. I was filled with pride. I'm so proud to be Libro, and that was just amazing. And I'm Liz from Lambton, Kent, Middlesex East. That was fantastic. Made my day.
Thanks, Liz. And you should drive in the middle of in the dark to see it. It actually illuminates. It's quite bright night light there. Great. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for a very animated meeting today. Thank you for joining us here in London, and also for those who joined us online. And before we conclude the meeting, we are going to rise and sing our national anthem. And this brings us to our conclusion. Lunch is going to be served next door, and I look forward to seeing you next year at our 10th annual general meeting. Thank you.